Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I'm gonna cook this one for the show. Cajun beans, load up the boat. I got the paddles, we're fitting to go to the bayou. Thank y'all for stopping by camp in the pine trees on a cool fall day it is. And when it goes to getting like cooler weather, there'll be things I'll be wanting to incorporate into my diet, which are soups and stews. And hey, what better place to start than with beans? Now, I've cooked beans on ranches, all kinds of beans, black beans, green beans, pinto beans, kidney beans, all kinds of beans. But folks, I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna look right there on the shelf and I am gonna take a trip plumb down to the bayou with these, because what are we talking about? Hurst ham beans, Cajun style, right here they are. And I thank them so much for sponsoring the video. What I really like about these beans is you can go to your local store and I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you're gonna find these on the shelves right there. There is a seasoned packet that is the Cajun seasoning. So hey, we're saving you money on the other end of it too by not having to buy all the spices that go in this. So we're gonna cowboy it up. We're gonna add a little traditional Cajun stuff such as some bell pepper, some celery, and we're gonna show you how to add a little something to them to where you can feed even a larger bunch of family that is gathered up, because I know after Thanksgiving you'll be thinking to yourself, I didn't think them people would ever leave. Some of them still here. So what are we gonna do? We're tired of turkey, we're tired of ham. We're gonna break out the Hurst 15 bean soup, Cajun style, and we're gonna serve it over some rice. You know, the first thing we gotta do is really sort of get these beans ready to go. And when you're doing that, we're talking about soaking beans. Now, I know y'all watched in videos before when I was at 1,800 foot to where I didn't have to soak no beans. Let me look right here on my calculator at the sun versus the angle, pi r squared with 746. We're at 7,800 foot here, elevation. So I'm gonna need to soak these beans. What you do is take your beans and just pour them into a pot, cover them with water just to where they're covered. And you need to let them soak for 2 to 3 hours, depending on your elevation. How do you know they soak long enough? Well, pick one of them beans up, see them squish just a little, you'll know you've done some good. What is soaking doing? It's swelling them beans, number one, to let them cook faster. That's what we're after. But we're not going to use any of that remaining water that's in there. We just need to drain it if there's any left that hadn't been soaked up from these beans. And you'll see there is a little. All that water is drained off them beans, but we need to rinse them a little. So just take you some water. If you've got a colander in the house, you can do this. We're going to give them a little shaking with the lid on. It's like being in the whirlpool. Then we're going to drain this water off of them again. Next up, let's get some of that good Cajun sausage ready. If we're going to make this really traditional and something about Cajun in a way, we're going to get some of them good andouille sausage down there that you can get. And I found these at my local grocery store in New Mexico, so I'm sure you can find them about anywhere that your store is. But also, if you don't got these, you could use kielbasa sausage, you could chunk up ham. Hey, if you want to cheapen it up even more, get your favorite hot dog and put in there. But we need to get these sliced into rounds. Oh, that might be a little dull. Yep. Let's see if we got a wet rock. Where was you at? Pardon the interruption there, but I had to sharpen my hash knife a little. We're going to cut these up into rounds, then I'll meet y'all over there at the fire. After we got them sausage cut up, we put that bacon grease in there. You need a little something oil in there. You could use regular vegetable oil, but why would you? Butter? Or you could use a little butter mixture with bacon grease. Straight butter might burn before you got it going, but hey, I love the flavor that some bacon grease is going to be in here, but there's also a little bit of fat in this andouille sausage, so it's going to render out there too, and we need all that. That's what's going to give us some more added flavor. We're going to cook this for probably 4 to 5 minutes or until it begins to brown up just a little. Keep stirring it around though, you don't want to burn none of it. Now, especially one thing I really like about cooking in cast iron and you got some bacon grease going, when you got that grease hot, It's helping you really just re-season your oven as you're going along, but it also holds in heat very well, good cast iron does. It's going to bring you some more flavor. You're doing the iron so good while you're cooking, so enjoy yourself. Have a little party while you're doing it, because we're going down to the bayou and row the boat. You've seen me, we used a slotted spoon. You want to leave all them bacon drippings and what's rendered down out of that sausage in there. And if there's any, I think they call that fondant. I'm not really for sure.
Fondant is a cake dress frosting.
Well, never mind, then we won't call it that. We'll call it that stuff that was stuck to that little cast iron pot there. Take that wooden mesquite spatula, scrape all that up out of there, because wood is what you use on cast iron. You don't use plastic, it'll melt in there. You don't use metal, you're scraping at your seasoning. But anything that you scrape off the bottom of that, and there ought not be much, you leave it in there because we need that for flavor, because we're going to put the Holy Trinity in there too. With it we are a white onion, a green bell pepper, 3 stalks of celery, and some garlic cloves. And then there at the end, we're going to add a little thyme because I got time to put it in there. Now we're over medium heat. We have added the onions, the bell pepper, and the celery. We're going to cook it till it's just begin to get tender, which is probably going to take 4 to 5 minutes. Then we're going to add the thyme and the garlic, let it cook for just a little bit, and then we're going to throw a little aromatic in there. What is that? Some smoked paprika to bring out a little flavor and let all that goodness commence. And then we're going to put it all together, and we're going to make us some what? Some Cajun 13 bean soup.
What happened to the other 2 beans?
Oh, 15 beans? But you can see as you're cooking this, it don't take long for this to take place. You can see them onions are beginning to get a little translucent, but don't walk off and leave it. Keep it stirring. We want it to get tender. And when you got all this in a pot, to me, this sort of reminds me of being back home and helping my mother, God bless her soul, cook a little Thanksgiving and some dressing, because this is the way it always started out. All that browned up, and I wished y'all was here. After that smoked paprika got in there and everything, it sort of just made everything come together and bind to all them vegetables. You just put that on a flour tortilla and don't have to worry about the rest of it. But that is going to bring all this traditional Cajun flavor to these beans. That little bean pot I had wasn't going to make the trip time we got all this in there, so we changed pots. We're going to add this to it.
You can't. Why didn't you just make the beans in the cast iron?
Well, I really don't like to boil a water-based substance in cast iron, because you're at a temperature to where you're above 212 degrees, and then sometimes it'll loosen some seasoning that you have on there, and your water will get a little blackish tint to it. So I really don't like to boil in cast iron. Now, you can make soups and stews in it because it's not just strictly water, but this is more of a water base than anything else, so we're going to go with it in this bean pot. But if you've got a Dutch oven that you've been using for a long time and this is what you make your stew and your beans in, you go for it, because hey, I guarantee you down there on the bayou, they probably cooking it in an old Dutch oven. About 6 to 8 cups of water here in this little pitcher, and I'm going to reserve some here because I want to start out with the least amount, and if you have to add some, we will. Keep this bean water on something hot so it'll stay hot. You're not shocking them beans. So we're going to add, we probably got a cup left in there, a little more. You can see in here that we just sort of covered everything that we got. I'm going to put it over here on a burner, medium-high heat, and bring it to a boil. Rolling boil we are. I'm going to give it a stir right here. Then I'm going to turn this burner down to about a medium low to where we can just get us a simmer. That'll slow down here in just a minute. Now is the time to come the Cajun flavor from the Hearst ham bean packet. And I'm sort of anxious. I'm not just going to pour it in there. I want to pour it in my hand. Oh my gosh. That does smell like Creole right there. Have a little sniff of that, Shan.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
So we're just going to get all this in there, give it a stir. Make sure you don't leave none in there. We need everybody to participate. We got it on a medium low. We're going to keep it on a simmer. The next thing I'm telling you, all deals with altitude. It does. Now, if you let them beans soak maybe 2 or 3 hours and you're down there at sea level, you're probably looking at a 45-minute cook time. Now, up here at 75 to 7,800 foot, we soaked them about 2 hours, and we're probably still going to have to cook them about 2 hours and some more to get them to where they're good and tender. But we'll stir them, check on them occasionally. Make sure you keep that bean water on something hot, so if you have to add a little, you just put it in there. But I just want to cover them beans. I'm not trying to get that water level way up here above them. Keep an eye on them, stir them. Remember, one burnt bean at the bottom of the pot, he ruins the whole deal. Been on 2 hours. You see me pull them beans up out of there, and I like to mash one just a little. I don't want it to fall apart, but I want it to be soft enough. Now is the time to add the sausage back in there. So we're going to dump all them sausage back in. And these sausage got cold sitting here waiting on them beans, so don't think we're just going to let them warm for like 5 or 10 minutes. We're probably going to let this go 15 to 20 with a pretty good simmer. That way we get the flavor that is rendered in them sausages as well. It would not be complete without the famous Cajun that I always knew down in that country, without a shake of the W sauce. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but I'm going to throw it in there a little, I am. And we're going to give it about that much right there. We'll let it come back to a really good simmer. But make sure that when you're cooking these beans, that when you're stirring them, go all the way to the bottom, because them little bitty lentils and them little bitty beans down there at the bottom, they're going to try to hang up down there and try to be lazy. You need to bring them back up there at the top so they can swim with the rest of them. Go ahead and cover it. We'll let it go about 15 minutes. Say you've got a big old pot of beans left from the day before, and get you a pork butt or a chuck roast, put it out there on the smoker till it gets done to where you can shred it, mix it back in them beans, makes great tacos, great burritos. Another option for this is the refried beans. You can mash these up, put a little mayonnaise, a little sour cream, cheese, you have got another meal all ready to go. You can let these beans cool completely off. Then you can sack them in a Ziploc bag, freeze them, you even got them for later. Been waiting about 2.5 hours, nearly 2 hours and 45 minutes just to get to this point. Got the rice all cooked up over there, we did. Now, if this was mine, I would do this right here to it. I'd just mix it all together because that's the way I like mine.
Now, why rice?
Because I just think it sort of blends in with Cajun food. You know, there's red beans and rice. You know, speaking of Cajun food and red beans and rice, Hearst Ham Beans does have a Cajun kidney bean packet that you can make and put together, but they got all kinds of beans. Pinto beans, they got bean soup. You gotta have some beans. So me, I'm finna have me some. Hang on.
I'm really interested, what's that seasoning like?
To me, it's like a Creole seasoning. You get a little bit of spice right there at the end that comes out in it because we put nothing that had a spice in it. And that little spice package they got, it is good. This is really good, it is.
Can you give me a Cajun shuffle? I don't know, how do the Cajuns dance?
They dance with their belly full. In fact, them Cajuns might, whoa.
Oh, there goes the mic.
They might even do the Cajun rock shuffle. I really want to give a special thanks to Hearst Ham Beans for sponsoring this video. And folks, if you're looking for a lot more recipes too as to what they have, be sure and check out their website because they got you covered in the bean factory they do. But it is with great pride, honor, and privilege that I tip my hat to all the servicemen and women and all the veterans that have kept that old flag a flying over camp. We commend you all. Rest of you, get up in here for a big old Cajun hug. I guarantee we love you and thank you. God bless you each and every one, and I'll see you down the Cajun Bean Trail. Cajun beans, load up the boat. I got the pedals. Pedals? You know, every day about this time, the pups load up, Get in, Sadie. Get in. Oh, get in here. Come on. We're not through. Get in. There you go. They'll come out here and get in the mule ready